Trust Profits, it's a formula here, and I'm giving you another Derby spotlight, this time on Citizen Bull, the second of the two current Baffert horses geared up towards the Derby was 3. Last time I talked to you, we had 3. Madaket Road is now pointed towards the Pat Day Mile, so update your bingo cards there. Madaket Road is deferred from the Derby, looking towards the Pat Day Mile, which I think is a great spot for Madaket Road, by the way. Could be a very successful Pat Day Mile for Madaket Road, but we're here today to talk about Citizen Bull. So what is there to say about the bull? Citizen Bull trainer Bob Baffert, as you all know. Martin Garcia, the jockey of record in, I believe, 5 out of those 6 races. 4 wins for Citizen Bull, including 3 stakes races. Pretty impressive. 1 third-place finish. Biggest win, the BC Juve. That's right. BC Juvenile winner. Made it all the way this far. Doesn't always happen. His style, pace setter. Obviously, he's one of those Bob Baffert burners. Looks to go gate to wire. Take it the whole way. Sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. So what are the pros and cons of Citizen Bull? Well, the pros is he's been stacking up wins, stacks on stacks. He's got the American Pharoah. He's got the BC Juvenile. He's got the Robert Lewis. So he's got 3 Derby prep races. I believe American Pharoah can be counted as a Derby prep. I think you score a handful of points for that. It is at least a race that horses run in if they're thinking Derby. So he's got those 3 wins. He's also got the Baffert factor, which even if he didn't run so well in the last race, as we saw from Medina Spirit, we saw from Authentic, although he did win the Travers before, but his last Derby prep race, he didn't fare so well. Both those horses did not win their previous Derby prep race before winning the Kentucky Derby. So, Citizen Bull doesn't mean you're counted out just because you lost your last race. Maybe you learn a thing or two. Maybe strategy comes into play. Who knows? We'll see. If he does get his race as a pace setter, he can control his own destiny. It can be a positive and negative. It's a double-edged sword here, being the pace setter at the Kentucky Derby. You will have a lot of pace pressure, so you may burn out easily, especially this year. We've been talking about it already. We've got 2 Baffert horses, Rodriguez, Citizen Bull, both look like pace burners. How are they not going to burn each other out? We'll see. One of them's going to have to rate somewhere. We also got Owen Almighty. We got East Avenue. These are horses that have been setting pretty hot paces, so get them together. Whew, look out. Look out. I've got a few other horses in there that are question marks. American Promise, I do believe he will rate, but he has been a pace setter in the past. But I think he's going to rate. I think Dwayne Lucas is going to have a pretty solid plan for him. So I'm curious to see what happens here with Citizen Bull. If he does get that pace, he doesn't have to worry about 19 other horses. He has to worry about the ones behind him, but he doesn't have to worry about traffic. That's the big deal there. Cons. So in his longest race, the Santa Anita Derby, he lost by 9 lengths. That's not good. That's not good at all. He was up in front. We'll see. We'll see a replay of that in a little bit here. It looked like he had things set up well for him, and then journalism took over, and then Baeza also kind of took over, and that was sort of the last we saw of Citizen Bull in that race for good. For for quite a while. Previous wins never looked challenged. So here it is. Was this just journalism going out and doing his thing, or is this a case of Citizen Bull can only win if there's no challenge on the pace? And we saw a number of these races, BC Juvenile included, where the only horse near to him was another Bob Baffert horse who was not pressuring him, to say the least, setting pace for him, if anything. The question is even Bob Baffert's best? I mean, Rodriguez went out to the Wood Memorial and laid a good time down. And we talked about that in my Rodriguez video. I like Rodriguez better than Citizen Bull right now. I might be proven wrong. Maybe he was holding Citizen Bull back a little bit, knowing he had enough points. Just needed to squeak in, just to secure a few more points and boost his efforts, just to ensure. Maybe. I don't think so, but maybe. Difficult road for pace setters. I just talked about this, right? With all the pace setters we have in this race, it's going to be difficult to get out in front and go gate to wire. We saw that when we looked at the journalism video. Out of the past 10 years, pace setters have been in the money 4 times. Won 3 times, 3 years in a row. Um, but yeah, it's a difficult road for pace setters for certain. And then finally, Nyquist is the last BC Juvenile winner to win the Kentucky Derby. Doesn't happen often. There's a lot of time in between the BC Juvenile and the Kentucky Derby. Horses are maturing, so it's not like we would expect him to win purely based off of that effort. Let me see what I got next here. So yeah, this says field size. What I'm really looking at here, not so much field size, but a little bit. I mean, he's got a bit of the same problem as journalism has, right? If we look at field size, 5'5", there was a 10 in there for the BC Juvenile, but he didn't feel 9 of those horses. 776. So if we look at this, 7, he got a win there in American Pharaoh, not bad, but again, he went gate to wire. Delmar Futurity, he got 3rd place in that one. Yeah. And then I don't think field size is as big of an issue for him, especially coming from Santa Anita, where you would think that it would be. Journalism got the worst of that, in my opinion. For me, it's really about if he doesn't set the pace. You look at his three wins there in a row, right? Discarding the maiden. Gate to wire, gate to wire, gate to wire. 1, 2, 3. And then he gets one race where he gets a little bit challenged early on and he falls back to 4th. 10 lengths, really. I mean, if we're going to round up, it's like 10 lengths behind journalism in the Santa Anita Derby. So pace. If he doesn't get pressured, he'll be fine. Good luck. Good luck. Okay, let me bounce out real quick and let's take a look at something else. Remove this, add in this, and then let's alt tab over, go full screen, and let's watch some horses here. Okay, so they are off the number 2 horse. You can see he's trying to go to the front there early on. The number 2 horse is Citizen Bull. That's the one we're keeping an eye on now. We watched the same race, keeping journalism in mind. Now we're looking at Citizen Bull, who gets a bit of a challenge here. Getting a bit of challenge there from Westwood, who really wants to get that pace. He gets out of length in front before he goes in the turn, but Citizen Bull plays off of the rail, lets Westwood have it, and then goes around him, with journalism right behind. But journalism is feeling comfortable here. Citizen Bull is getting itchy. He wants to grab the pace back. Feels a challenge, has to make a move around Westwood. Now he's on the outside. But yeah, he's definitely not going gate to wire here. He's definitely not going to be the main pace setter. This is a challenge. They're at 47.14, which isn't super fast. It's getting a little fast, but going into the Derby, you have to expect that. You have to anticipate that to be a 45-second half mile, right? Or a low 46. So already, if he's winded at this point, this is not boding well for the Derby, in my opinion. Okay, now he takes off. Citizen Bull wants it. So now we see it's 111. Okay, that's crept up quite a bit. You can see the pace crept up. And who's going after him is number 5, Baeza. And then journalism is coming up from behind now. So now he's coming around the turn there. Baeza's giving pressure. Citizen Bull has not gotten away from the pressure all day. Baeza is going to take over here. And this is pretty much the last you hear from the Bull. Baeza takes over. Journalism takes over there. Citizen Bull gets knocked back to 4th. Barnes sends us a postcard from Miami. But yeah, that's pretty much it. You're going to watch Citizen Bull fall back. Westwood is going to take over him, which is shocking. But yeah, that's it right there. That is Santa Anita Derby in a nutshell there. So a lot of pressure from the horses around Citizen Bull, wearing him down, and didn't have a spectacular finish in his 9 furlong race. So finish times. This is something else that I was going to work on here. Finish times. Looking specifically at 8.5 furlong because I want to give Citizen Bull benefit of the doubt here and see, is there something in those races? He had a couple. Is there something in those races that I can point to and say, hey, okay, maybe that's one race, the 9 furlong, but he's been doing better. This is a sort by all the horses who have raced 8.5 furlongs, come in like 1st, 2nd, and 3rd in the Derby prep races. Maybe I left a few thirds out here, so there may be some horses missing, but Citizen Bull's 2 times, the BC Juve and the American Pharaoh. sitting pretty low on that list. American Pharoah, especially a 144.30, not spectacular, but that's an old race. BC Juvenile also old, a little bit better at 144. Sorry, 143.07. But also keep in mind what the record at the track is. That to me is the normalizing factor here. So this is still almost 4 seconds off the track record at Del Mar. If you look at all the other horses above him, for the most part, they're higher with respect to the track record as well, which is why that's in green, that diff to record, that final column. And then you say, okay, Citizen Bull, he ran better than Sovereignty, River Thames, East Avenue, Burnham Square even. But also keep in mind, I'm also normalizing to the track record. So you see Burnham Square down there with a 143.60. That's 2.63 seconds off the track record, compared to Citizen Bull, almost 4 seconds off the track record when he won the BC Juvenile. That to me says that maybe they weren't the fastest races. Maybe the competition in those races at the time fell into Citizen Bull's favor, and he's maybe not the best. Let's look at it a different way, shall we? Let's look at that one race, one sparkling moment in time. This is taking all the BC juveniles from 2015 when Nyquist ran all the way up to 2024 when Citizen Bull ran, and ranking them by who ran fastest. So the fastest one is actually Fierceness. I mean, holy cow, Fierceness came out like a rabbit. And Fierceness in his best races was doing this. This is one reason I really liked him last year, because I thought, okay, you might be able to rattle him, but if I get my best race from Fierceness, he's going to be fine, because he's dropping a 141.90. Good gravy. And below that, you have Central Quality. Corniche ran a spectacular race. Citizen Bull down just below Forte. And then you say, well, he's above Good Magic and Nyquist. Yeah. But remember what I said before. We're normalizing this based on track, and the BC Juvenile changes tracks. So what's the record for Citizen Bull when he's running at Del Mar? It's 140 even. So 143.07. He's 3 seconds above that, right? Again, not the record for the race, but the record for the track. We look at Good Magic. Okay, same. So they're about the same. But you look at someone like Nyquist, right? Nyquist ran at Keeneland. The record is 140.79. That's almost a second slower, because the track is a little bit slower than Santa Anita. So what does that tell you? The race by Nyquist was actually a bit better than what he ran. And of course, Nyquist also was improving as he went along, as we all know, because his record was fantastic. Same with Good Magic. Good Magic kept getting better, and I don't feel like we saw that necessarily from Citizen Bull. Yeah, and we look at Game Winner too. Game Winner, when he ran at Churchill Downs, I believe it was a 141.04. So you're looking at some of these horses below saying, well, Game Winner came in fifth, Nyquist in second. But also compare that to what they ran, what track they ran at, and how slow that would have been to normalize it out. So Citizen Bull, a 143.07, good, not great, not something I would project him to be way better at, and saying I'm going to chuck the Santa Anita Derby because of it. Okay, so final thoughts. Horse that'll go to the front. Yes, absolutely. Horse that's going to go to the front. He's going to want the pace unless they change up something. But man, it doesn't look like it's in his DNA. Hasn't looked good at 9 furlongs. We saw that. Just saw that on the video. He got worn down. Maybe you could even take it to say he doesn't look good when he gets pressured. He doesn't handle the pressure well. Moved around a little bit too much in the Santa Anita Derby, and that hindered him by 9 furlongs. And then the other thing I'm going to throw out there is the Baffert factor, though. I would have said the same thing about Medina Spirit a few years ago. I probably would have said the same thing about Authentic the year before that, potentially. Yeah. So there's still a chance that Citizen Bull is going to have a really good race day, and Bob Baffert's going to figure out some magic for him. It's happened before. But yeah, going into the Derby, even with the Baffert factor, I am not favoring Citizen Bull. So that's what I got. You guys let me know what you think in the comment section, and have a lovely day.